with as large as our government's got, and there's this old saying that if every Athenian was Socrates, 1,000 Athenians would still be a mob.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcasting for this very special episode featuring our political liaison, Kimball Sinclair Schiller.
Is that my official title now?
Yes.
Political liaison.
Political liaison. That sounds like what they call spies when they send them into other countries.
I mean, we basically, you could work as a special ops person. You already had a job offer, didn't you not?
Yeah.
I think I was scouted. I don't know if I was offered a job, but a CIA person did come find me at a party like twice.
Oh, well, then you're thinking of a different occasion.
Yeah.
What am I thinking
This
of?
week, I was talking to my friend, and he does some special operations things. And he was like, hey, I want to talk to Sinclair about coming to work for me one summer. Well, she's at school.
Oh.
And so I'll just leave it at that.
But we thought,
Yeah.
you know, with all the things
You have my
political
email.
that-
You have my...
yeah, even though we don't, you know, pigeonhole ourselves as a political podcast, and we try and keep that out of things because we don't want people showing up here thinking that they have to be swayed one way or another to just get along with a couple gals.
I'm old-fashioned. You know, my daddy used to always say, don't ever talk about religion, politics, or ask anybody the size of their ranch.
The size of their ranch?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to throw all the rules aside today because if you are not somebody that is involved in politics right now, you
may just want to watch just to be enlightened.
yeah, you might.
If so far we're your only source of political commentary, I have other concerns. The no religion, no politics rule never existed at my table growing up. Despite what she says, it never.
No, but I think,
politics were opening
we know what
conversation
our
on Thanksgiving. Yes.
views are around the table. But I just mean with people you don't know. You
Right,
probably
but
shouldn't.
you know, the fact that we're all living through a time where there was just a recent assassination attempt on a former president. That's
Okay, I'm still blown away. My mind's still back on him coming down the elevator at Trump in 2015
Yeah.
when he announced
Uh-huh.
that he was running, and I was like, this should be good for ratings on Fox. wait, he got the nomination.
He's winning?
Right. I still have.
I
the
maintain
New
I don't
York
think he
Post
meant to
thing.
win at first. I think he obviously means to win now, but whenever he first
Right.
jumped in, I don't think he thought
No,
we'd
I
be
think
here.
he did it for
Yeah.
the whatever. I don't know for what reason. I never thought about it, but I mean, I guess is it for clicks? Is it for ego? I don't think he ever thought that he would have gotten that far. But when I heard it, pretty much to sum it up, how powerful it was, just his sound bites and like the things that he would do with Megyn Kelly and Rosie O'Donnell and all that kind of stuff. It got something like $9 billion worth of advertising free. You can't buy the kind of advertising that he provides himself. That's pretty powerful. So do you think Biden's going to drop out, and who's going to take his place?
I think he has to drop out between now and November.
Because of COVID or because of...
For whatever reason they end up putting, and I said this to you earlier, I think when he drops out, it's going to be 5 p.m. on a Friday whenever all the newsrooms and everything are closing up. I think they want minimal coverage for it. So every
is
week
Gavin Newsom the guy?
Maybe. Could be.
Were you surprised by the J.D. Vance?
No, it was between that and Tim Scott.
Are
It was
you
either going to be...
crushing on him? I'm so crushing on him.
I haven't crushed on political figures in a while.
Okay. But I'm just, of course, I wasn't really familiar. And a friend of mine sent
Did you know who he was?
I'd heard the name, but I really only started hearing about it regularly around the VP nomination speculation, all that. I did know about Hillbilly Elegy because that is the name of our Life 360 circle. And I didn't know what it was from. I thought someone really creative had come up with it.
I did. Yeah. Well, I mean, I heard it whenever it came out, like, 7 years, his book.
However many years ago.
If you go back, he scrubbed his social media from bashing Trump. But he was like, look, I'm never a Trumper. Never. Hate the guy. Can't stand him. Think he's an idiot.
I actually think that's the best thing he can do for his campaign.
And the fact that, and he's like, and so you see Trump the other night when he spoke at the RNC, and he's like, yeah, I know what y'all are saying. He said he didn't like me, but he just didn't know me. Now that he knows me, What's not to love?
You know, I have to say that I fall in line to a similar opinion. Is like, I never voted for Trump the first go around. I wasn't a Trump fan. I'm still not a Trump fan. But when you put Biden and Trump next to each other, and this is just pure honesty, Trump's better for the country at this point. Trump's better for the collective idea of what I feel like is important right now for our country, of some sort of unity and better protection and awareness. And do I still think like he's who would be my ultimate president? No. But it's the options we're given.
Well, here's what I want to say something in fairness to Joe Biden. Look, he's been a senator way longer than I've even been alive. But I think he was more what we call in the South a yellow dog Democrat. So in other words, he had some center leading to the right views on things. And I think over time, let's say since the 70s, it's morphed more extreme. The right's gone more right, the left's gone more left. There's no moderate anymore. Where the moderate Democrat used to be what like the Republican is today, not the far right, but a softer, gentler version. And I think Joe Biden, look, he's a professional politician. I just think he missed his time. I think he's
well, he ran 3 times and failed.
Well, I know, but I think that the peak we would have had, it goes without saying, we would have had a totally different president in him 15 to 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think he would have been a much more impactful.
Well, and to your point also, I feel like the J.D. Vance nomination, I feel like his views of certain aspects, and I mean, we probably like very much of the country that night watched Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah.
To just see
it had to be,
right.
I wonder how many people downloaded it.
But there were so many monumental moments in that I was like, like that I was shook after watching it, because there were reminders of my life, my childhood, my upbringing, that you're like, wow, somebody who's reached this level politically understands what this demographic experiences. And so J.D. Vance, for me, makes Trump an attractive choice, because that's somebody that I feel like I can relate to on a level that I don't relate to Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or anybody.
Right.
And I think that that's going to do a lot to win. And when I sit back and think, what if that assassination attempt had been successful?
We would be locked in our houses right now. It would be COVID. It's everybody be armed. I just can't even imagine.
Terrified to think of what it would be looking like. You said to Sinclair that night, you wouldn't be going to college?
No, I wouldn't be sending you to college next month.
I actually think we just have 2 different candidates.
Do what?
I actually think we would have handled it surprisingly well, because I think Joe Biden would have dropped out because there's no reason for him to stay in the race. I think we probably might have seen an RFK sweep.
Would that not have been?
No,
I don't
crazy.
Think about it though, because Biden's really only still in the race because he thinks he wants to beat Trump, or thinks he can beat Trump. And then RFK is in there basically as an election spoiler, but
did you see the conversation that he had with Trump on the phone?
Yes, I did hear that.
You kind of wonder why we'd let somebody tape you and then put it out there.
Well, I mean, Trump has a lot of issues with taped phone calls.
Yeah.
But
he sounded very normal on that call.
He sounded very normal.
He sounded very normal. But I think that J.D. Vance, again, that the middle America, the hardworking, I love his story. His favorite movie's Babe.
Yeah.
What else did he? And his wife
I think his wife's brilliant. She's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. The difference between whenever he picked Mike Pence, he did it to swing the evangelical voters. And then whenever he picked J.D. Vance, I think he's actually looking at picking a successor. Because I think for as much as Donald Trump loves talking about his kids aren't going to become president of the United States.
Yeah.
Maybe Ivanka could go back into politics, but I don't see her doing it. No, but J.D. Vance could pick up the ticket in 4 years.
It was like Vivek.
Mm-hmm.
They interviewed him and said, Trump just came out and announced. He said, you're kidding. He said, I called him last night and congratulated him. And he's like, oh, no, I don't know. He's like, really? Come on. It's going to be, and he goes,
don't pick now to be humble.
Amazing. And Vivek said, I love him. And then called our friend that's chief of staff for a congressman in Washington. And I said, hey, what do you think? And he said, I love him. He said he is one of the most gracious, kindest, humble people. He said he's just a joy to be around.
I think it translates. There's nothing about him that I read as fraudulent, for lack of a better word, like, he's shown that he lives through a certain experience that gives you, and, he gave his mother an ovation last night that, I felt his emotion. He was tearing up.
Did you cry when they were, Mama, Mama? Did you, he was telling the stories about his grandmother
didn't he
died,
say about like
19 guns?
Yeah, he found the 19 guns, and also she said, if you hang out with that group of friends, I'm gonna beat your ass. Or?
No. I'm going to. No, if you hang out with a particular boy anymore, I'm going to run over him in my car.
Oh,
and they'll never figure out who it was.
What is the most surprising election you've ever watched?
When I woke up, gosh, you were little. What was the one that everybody thought that Mitt Romney was
because I
win?
said 2012 Mitt Romney Obama. I also heard Reagan Carter as an answer.
Yeah, I was too young then, but yeah, it was. I guess it was elementary school or something like that. But yes, I remember because there was no internet. There was nothing like that. Mm-hmm. There was no advance. And then it was so funny because yesterday I saw on CNN, I'm trying to remember, it was ABC or something, said that Biden was trailing by 30 points. Of course, CNN comes out, or MSNBC, and says, no, it's dead even. There's a,
yeah.
I was like, okay.
Well, and, you made a comment earlier, Sinclair, first to answer your question. I honestly, when Trump won for me, I was
won the nomination, you mean?
Well, no, 2016.
No, I know.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that we were in that place, and without any like really political, like he just kind of stepped into that role, and as many failures as he'd had in business, it was just shocking to see that somebody who'd never really been in that climate now is the president. We've just handed this baton to somebody that doesn't.
To a guy that on a reality show.
Right. Like, The Apprentice, right? Like, is this really happening right now? And, also paying attention to, who, like you said, I think you said this, who wants that job? Who's really going to say, like, hey, I want to do what has kind of become a thankless job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, there's so much power behind it, but you and I spent all that time in Washington last year, and we realized that Joe Biden isn't running the country. There's an entire subculture of people that are really making the decisions, and they're using him, I'm sorry, as a puppet. And if you don't believe that, we just had a up close and personal look at things from the inside that shine a very different light on what's happening politically. And if you're going to revoke somebody's driver license at a certain age, I think there should be a cutoff of when somebody can actually be the president. Why are we spending all this money for him to have cognition tests every single day to make sure he's on top of his game when he should be spending his time doing other things? Like,
well, first of all, I've taken cognition tests and they take 4 hours.
Right.
Is that coming into the hours that we pay him, or is that
like there's so many what ifs, but maybe it was never became an issue of discussion before of, hey, when's the age cap for presidency? But it's something worth talking about.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and it was when Vivek was running, they were like, well, he's 35, 36 years old. He's almost too young to run. I said, I'd rather have too young than too old.
Right, you have to retire from being, from what, FBI at a certain age?
Right.
You have to retire from being a police officer by a certain age.
Right.
Everyone else has to.
Right? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Age limits and term limits.
And, on the subject of the attempted assassination, I can't help but have this discussion because we've talked about it ever since we watched it live, was from your point of view, what are the glaringly obvious signs of lack of security? What should they have had in that security arena along with Secret
Service agent? Well, first of all, they're the lead alphabet agency in charge. So when they come there with the president and the advance team comes, they don't just sweep once. That's where people are confused. They're sweeping constantly maybe since he's not a sitting president anymore, maybe it's 24, 48 hours before. But advance team comes out, let's say when he's president, a week before. And look, we had a party years ago for Bush, and I was so excited. They were going to be in our home. They go through and rip up your flower beds. They rip out if there's too much glass, where are you going to have this? Where are you going to do this? I watched them do what they do, and it was so detailed. And so
he a sitting president at that point?
Right. But I remember when somebody had told us recently, I really want to throw, can you help me? I want to throw a fundraiser for Trump. And I said, be careful. I said, if you have them in their home, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars to fix everything once they leave. People don't understand that. But I guess that's a caveat if you can afford to do it. But when I listened to her saying, well, we didn't put anybody on the roof because it was sloped at an incline. But the snipers on the other side are on a roof that goes like that.
Yeah.
And did you see Elon came out with the Cybertruck picture and he says, we're sloped on an incline. Just saying. I'm betting that Elon makes a Pope Mobile or a Trump Mobile or like some kind of special series. Did you see he's committed $45 million a month until the campaign?
Yes. That's absurd.
And isn't there a cap? Like would it give $1 million to each kid?
What do you mean $1 million to each kid?
In other words,
$1 million to each of Elon's children and each of those
kids can donate $1 million a month?
Yeah.
The 45 kids or how many kids does he have?
Well, I think if he's donating to a
super PAC,
he's fine. Yeah.
He's okay.
Yeah.
But I just was like, $45 million a month.
Well, getting back to security for the event, you were like, I don't understand why they don't have canines.
Absolutely. I mean, why were there not? But you saw that Secret Service says now, this is noted or whatever it went through, she's going to speak before Congress, I don't know, in a few days. And
she who?
She, the head of the director of Secret Service.
Okay.
And first of all, why were there not more canines there? Of course, I'm an advocate for canines. But somebody had posted a video of them bringing him to the hospital. Mm-hmm. And it's just like a very small little circle driveway, urgent care. It was in their town. And that same Secret Service lady that's been in all the memes.
The one that couldn't holster her weapon.
Is in the circle. And so the nurses are on the inside of the hospital and they're taping the showing up. So it shows the woman, she doesn't realize she's being taped. And she's looking around and she's trying to figure out, and the doors automatically open. She jumps. She's scared to death. And then she's like, oh, maybe I should take my gun out. So she grabs her gun and she's waving it around all over the hospital. And it's like, are you kidding me? It's such a bad reflection on that department. Of course, what's so funny is if you want to get anybody started that works for FBI, DEA, ATF, for Secret Service, you just say, hey, what's your thoughts on that opposing agency? They are the worst. If you ask somebody from the DEA, you'll go, what do we even need the FBI for? Of course, if you ask the FBI.
I thought you were going to say, what do you think of Trump? That's another way to get him started.
Right. But if you ask somebody from Secret Service, what do you think of the ATF? They're like, what do we even use them for? They are completely the most inept. So they all kind of turn on each other. It's
the alphabet agencies.
Yeah. Right, the alphabet agencies. But it's really reflected a bad light. And it's funny to me how the whole country can turn. It seemed like we woke up and it was #MeToo. Okay, well, what happened to that? How many people got canceled during that run of 5 years? And it's like now all of a sudden we wake up and we're like, oh, Trump's not so bad. People went to bed hating him on Friday night.
Yeah.
The people that are now up in arms supporting him now.
I don't think that was because of the assassination. I think that happened the night of the debate.
I still feel, 15 degrees is the number I keep hearing, that he turns his head And that's how much it misses him by. Of course, you were like the other night we watched the thing, I just want to see the ear. I want to see the ear.
I want to see the ear so bad.
Did you see the
He's
meme?
got, whenever he takes it,
Do you see how
I hope he
people are
takes
wearing
it
white
off.
patches now?
Are they?
Yes.
Somebody did a little meme and they put the My Pillow on their. We have
That's
to
good.
insert it because it's pretty funny.
We are a creative country.
Yeah.
We're funny. I think you have to laugh in the face of sadness.
Well, but how many people stood up and said, I used to fight for this country because it was worth fighting for, or I used to, think everybody wanted to come here because it was the greatest country, and it is, but it's lost a little bit of its shine and its appeal, and we've all just gotten
to go plate that sister back up.
but we've all just
The
gotten
average
to this.
lifespan of an empire is 250 years.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, so he's the second generation, right? Because his dad
What do you mean?
of his empire, Trump's
Trump's
father.
empire. I think she's talking about the country.
I'm talking about
Oh.
the country. Second gener. I mean, yeah.
Like, we're
I'd
closing
he's
in on our
probably
end,
second
right?
generation. Could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not that much of a fatalist, but we'll be fine.
I got to tell you, who's going to be a new face in the Republican Party? Lara Trump. But you look at somebody like Lara Trump, and I just, where everything that our country got a taste of with Hunter Biden the past 4 years,
Yeah.
they're like, wait a minute, we missed the last family, bring them back. And look, whoever's in office, it's so sad because their kids catch it. Obama's kids caught it. Bush, the twins caught it. But I just look around and think, Hunter Biden. And what kind of hold does Jill Biden have that she's telling him, no, you can't step down. You have to fight. You have to keep doing this. And at some point, it becomes elder abuse. Y'all
Because
agree?
who wants to move out of the White House? That's her dish set.
Yeah.
But yes, I think we watched a live stream elder abuse whenever we watched the debate.
Right.
I watched it in a sports bar with subtitles. And let me say that, watching them try and transcribe it is when you realize how bad it is.
Well, and I feel like some people have come after George Clooney for calling him to step down, but at least he's saying what everybody else is kind of thinking. And if you're not thinking
George
it,
Clooney had thrown a party for him 48 hours before and raised.
right,
all
because
this
he
money.
thought at the point where he made that decision, like, hey, this is something happened that night that he was like, wait a second, this isn't okay. Like, wait a second, this is still my country. Wait a second. And I think it takes more of those wait a second moments, and for somebody to stand up and say, look, I don't care if this ruins my popularity contest or whatever. I have to say something if nobody else is going to.
Did y'all watch the ABC interview?
I did not.
With,
George Stephanopoulos.
yes, I did.
Yes.
And what did you
Um,
think? And
I
so
think-
immediately after George Stephanopoulos, who is a Democrat.
Yeah, who is? I think the media receives a lot of flack for being nice to Biden. And whenever you look at press conferences and stuff over the past, I think that's a fair assessment or critique or whatever you want to call it. I think George was visibly frustrated in that interview.
Right.
And because you're looking at a man in denial who is putting his own pride over, in his view, over the safety of democracy.
And see, he was chief of staff for Clinton.
I forgot about that.
And there's nobody sharper than Bubba Clinton in his day. And somebody did a compilation this week of, and maybe we'll try to superset that in here, but of Trump's best comebacks.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
They were golden.
They were golden.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just about a 2-minute little thing. But when he was on stage with Hillary and she said, we've been asking you for your tax returns. He goes, I emailed them to you.
I remember that.
You're just like, there's no way he could have prepped for that. That's what's coming to his mind. So you look and you say, he's a guy that's really sharp. And he's done business in a lot of countries. He's built hotels in other places and other countries.
How many are still standing?
Well, I don't know. I'm not as I count.
Okay. I
But-
mean,
Somebody else is calling all of the shots at this point, and they are the ones who don't want to give up control, which is why people have called for Biden to step out of the race, is because it's starting to fall apart. The wheels are falling off the bus, and it's only going to get worse. It's like going to visit your grandfather who's in hospice that's, I'm so
As
glad to
dementia.
see you. Right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're no longer paying the bills. They're no longer checking the boxes. They're there as a figurehead of what you think is being done or who this person is in control or power. And it's not really that person.
Because whenever you go to the ballot box, you elect the person you want running the country, and Biden's not running the country. It's a bunch of people around him. And you can make a decent argument that they're experts, they know what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. But with as large as our government's gotten, there's this old saying that if every Athenian was Socrates, 1,000 Athenians would still be a mob. So whenever you have a lot of experts or whatever just running things behind the scenes, those aren't people we elected. Those aren't people we know. And it's people that probably don't have American best interests at heart. You can't assume that about anyone, not even candidates.
Right.
But I think a lot of the arguments about the deep state or whatever kind of became a self-fulfilling prophecy in the last 4 years.
I agree.
Are you nervous?
Yes. I don't see how anyone isn't.
Have you ever been this nervous about the
And it's
political
going to
state
be
of the
your
country
first
before?
election to vote in.
This is my first election to vote in. What was the question?
Have you ever been this, because you've been invested in politics since you were old enough to understand?
I think I'm always nervous about the elections. Yeah, I was, because
Do you remember when you won in 2016 and you
Yes.
and I were up at 4 a.m.
yes,
and she
and
wouldn't
I
concede
remember
and-
she wouldn't concede, and then 4 years later, all the stuff with like Georgia actually turned blue in the middle of the night, and we all woke up to it. But I remember
she
me and
with more enthusiasm to tell me that than she never even inquired.
well, no,
about
because
Santa.
November
We were
5th.
sleeping.
Well, that was like the same day that I think Putin said he was stepping down or something. Do you remember that?
Vaguely,
A
that
bunch
was-
of stuff happened on the news like all at once, December 5th, 2020.
Hey, Rain
point-
Man, tell me more.
Christ, he threw me off with that. Did you ever watch like if you go on AP News or whatever and you can see the whole map with the colors changing on the states? And me and my classmates would just sit with an open laptop, and teachers couldn't make us do anything because we just sit there and click it and refresh and just keep seeing the vote switch. And for 3 days, that's all we did because they were counting votes for that long and nothing else mattered. And
Do you feel like your life, like the people who, your friends, your classmates, what do you feel that they have just as much of a vested interest in the political climate of our country as you do?
not all of them, but I have some pretty politically inclined friends. And I'd say we agree on like major things, but I think most Americans agree on major things, even if whatever you're registered as.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see at the DNC all of a sudden, and your next president, and it opens, and vice president announcement, Bill and Hillary?
I think I would laugh my ass off, and I think they might be able to get away with it.
Look,
And Bill
Clinton has
Bill Clinton has
a
one
ton.
thing Biden doesn't.
charisma.
No, I was going to say that he's hot, but that's a better way to say that.
Well, I guess in depends panty world, you'd be, but during Bill Clinton at his height, I met him and I was like, I completely see and understand how Monica didn't stand a chance. There's no way. He has so much natural charisma. And when I met him at a political dinner, he said, "Hey, my name's Bill. What's yours?" I was like, I forgot. I mean, I don't know. He just
Okay, so it's Bill versus
Fangirling
Trump. Who are you
aside.
voting for?
I'm going
That's
with
a
Trump.
loud silence.
Yeah, I'm still leaning towards Trump. They've had a plan. He hasn't backed down, and where I think that
I'm more
Hillary, no damn way ever. Just go watch 13 Hours. But Benghazi. Can't stand her. Love me some Bubba Clinton. But yeah, not a Hillary fan.
trying to think like the prediction. Any predictions?
And I don't want, I have to tell you that they said somebody was breaking down, looking at the Secret Service detail of like the last 3 or 4 sitting presidents. Well, since Reagan, since he was shot, there's never been a female on the immediate
Detail.
And so then to have at least 3 that I saw in the pictures, and you could hear one of them saying, which way do we go? Where do we go? Where are we going from here? And, I get it. It's a crazy moment. But
you should be the ones being hired because you can handle those moments.
Right. You're practicing for those moments every single day. And then
you're only there for those moments.
Right. You're waiting for this 2 minutes to
Y'all should be shining right now.
Well, and the fact that somebody told Secret Service 3 hours before, there's somebody with a rangefinder. And a rangefinder, unless you're playing golf and you want to figure out what club to hit to the green, how far, the only reason you would have that would be for a long
and he didn't need it for the shot he made.
The fact that, he went up there, he put a ladder up there the day before.
There's no way they swept that building.
They were in the building when it happened.
Right. But if the ladder was there the day before, just none of it makes sense.
And you could see these people saying, hey, there's a guy up there over 2 minutes while he was talking.
Yeah.
And then I was watching an interview with Eric Prince that was the chairman of Blackwater. And he said the fact that they kept him on the X that long. And he's like, it startled him out of his shoes. And he's like, wait, I need my shoes. Hold on. And, he's so, you could see him when it went by.
Well, yeah, because he
like
said
something stung him.
He thought it was a big mosquito.
Right.
Or that's what it sounded like.
Right.
Yeah.
And so them to slow down. And do you know who was there was our Texas Ag Commissioner, Sid Miller, was standing in front of him when it happened.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And
I think we have to address it if we're talking about the assassination attempt, that there was a significant portion of the internet who went, is this staged?
Right.
And I think so much of that probably comes from the fact that it's like, do we really want to believe Secret Service was this incompetent?
Right.
And also in this day and age, to be fair, I think any major news that breaks, you should treat with suspicion. If you immediately accept whatever's on TV, I mean, good for you, I guess. But I think it comes down to the fact that can we really believe that Secret Service dropped the ball this bad? And from reports, yeah, they did.
Well, and to your point, do we trust everything you see on the news? Right after it happened, you pulled up and there was at least 3 screenshots of different news reporters coming out, and the things that they were reporting actually happened in that moment were all false. There was like one Trump stumbles off a stage and falls, and one, like, nobody was talking about the fact that he was just shot at.
Right.
They were all false news reports. So it's like, if you go on and you see, and you're going to trust the first thing and not verify, Kim says, trust but verify.
Right. But, Tiger Woods said that, I don't know where he was.
It rhymes in Russian. It sounds better.
Tiger Woods was flying to somewhere to play golf. And he said, I couldn't sleep the whole flight and kept refreshing, I guess he and Trump are close and, he'd been shot. And it blows my mind. And now they're saying that
we got to work on your word choice.
Oh, right. It's astonishing to me. Astonishing. At first glance, first of all, as he's talking, it happens so fast and you don't realize, and he grabs himself. And you're like, oh, something must have stung him. I mean, immediately. And we were watching him speak live.
No, we saw it happen.
Right. And then all of a sudden he stops, and he's not that good of an actor. I mean, obviously this is not a setup, but as he's kind of frozen, like, what the hell's going on? And, I can't even imagine. He has such a crazy energy around him that you would think that they would have some type of like dividers, or, like when the Pope comes.
I bet it's coming now, quite honestly. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't have a bulletproof acrylic, see-through.
Plexiglass.
Right. And like, to your point, Sinclair, all the people who are saying, oh, it was staged. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a magician or you think that
you're not taking a bullet. I don't care how
exactly. That level of nobody's going to set themselves up for that.
The shot he actually made would be harder to fake than if he just shot Trump.
Exactly.
You can't on purpose miss like that.
Right. Especially a 20-year-old kid who'd never
No.
And it's not like
he was a good shot.
Right. No, absolutely. And it's just do your research and get invested. And that's the other thing is I've talked to, I don't know, a couple people in the last few days. They're like, oh, I don't know anything about it. It's like, are you really that detached from what's happening around you? Because it's, things are changing.
I think some people really detach from politics and such as a coping mechanism because it's just so insane, especially
it's so
in
nuclear.
The US. Yeah.
And it has been for the last 10 years.
God rest her soul, but I have a former friend's wife who, I think it was when Trump was elected the first time, politically she couldn't handle the climate and she unalived herself due to, and that's somebody who has so much empathy, I think, that they internalize it, but because they can't make decisive control or executive decisions about it as a whole,
right.
They're just like, I'm just one voice, and they can't watch the demise. But there are people with mental health issues struggling because of what's happening across the country, because there's not more of a unity.
Well, when you realize how many followers, I was watching the other day, Mr. Beast has over 200 million.
I think Mr. Beast should be our next president.
I think Mr. Beast.
I agree. Mr. Beast.
That's what I was going to write in.
He just cleaned up like 34 million pounds of trash out of the ocean. Like, I'd have
single-handedly done more.
Being. I watched him on Rogan. It was one of the best interviews ever. Well, did you see though, Jamie Dimon? It's supposedly going to be, that was head of Citibank. He was going to be head of Department of Treasury.
You could put him in Treasury. I could see that.
Silicon Valley has gotten behind Trump.
Well, Silicon Valley has moved to Texas, but
oh well, then there's that. But
X is moving to Texas. SpaceX is doing fully coming to Texas.
I'm very curious to see what Elon Musk's role in the administration is going to be, because I think I've told you before, and this isn't like set in stone. If I'm wrong on this, I wouldn't be surprised. But if Trump ever does go through with making a Department of Technology, I think we'll see Elon Musk with a cabinet position.
Why would you not have a Department of Technology?
There's no reason not to have one right now.
Right.
And how hard would it be to create a new leg of a new?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty discretionary. I think he literally he signs a document and we have a new.
Well, it kind of goes back to what Nick McKinley was saying, even about local government, is like you ask and you say, hey, what's the budget for anti-human trafficking? Oh, wait, we don't have one. Well, you haven't had one, but now we need one. So why isn't that? Yes, we need a Department of Technology. All of these things. If we're not advancing as fast as AI and technology and social media and all of that, which is now so ingrained. Look, the world wouldn't know what just happened to Trump if we weren't as advanced as we now are at the speed and level. Like, 5 minutes after it happened, how many people knew about it? But if we're not evolving as quickly, we're in big trouble.
Well, tell us, you leave for Georgia, for Emory, undergrad thoughts, classes, stuff you're taking. I know there are a lot of basics.
I'm taking Cal 1 again, which I was upset about, but honestly, I think I can make a ton of money tutoring because I've taken the class years ago. That was a little bit of a flex. I'm sorry. I'm taking German 101 and German 102 this year because those are my 2 language credits. I'm taking a discovery class that's basically my freshman orientation class, or discovery seminar is what they call it. I'm taking a philosophy course, intro to ethics, knockout of humanities lecture, and then I'm taking intro to microeconomics for my major, and I'm gonna have to take intro to macro again because I made a 4, not a 5, and they won't take it. So from there, join some newspapers, digital magazines, whatever they got.
Well,
start your Substack.
I have a Substack. I go back and forth. I need to publish. I was supposed to do that yesterday, but
well, I was watching this week, and there was a big mom activist, and she was basically bashing Rogan. Said, if you watch this podcast, you're the issue. And she said, he is not for taking our guns away. That's never going to happen in our lifetime. Why are you dying on that hill? Right. Let's talk about gun reform. And
all I'm going to say about guns is that I think it should be half as difficult to get a gun as it is to get a driver's license.
If they had to deal with it.
Yeah.
DMV is a nightmare.
No, I'm being serious though. I mean, I love guns. I've grown up with them. They're treated like a pastime in Texas. But there's no reason they should be as easy to obtain as they are. It's beyond logic. No reason that everyone should have. And, you know, like, you're a pistol owner. Mm-hmm. There are guns you have to protect your house. And then there are guns that...
telling stories about me. I'm going to be the Meemaw of...
Yeah, there are guns...
She died with 19 guns.
Yeah. There are guns designed to kill people. And that is their only job. And there's no other reason to have those in your home.
Right.
I mean, shot ARs, shot HKs, all of them. They're fun. They're good rifles. Why are they your go-to for home protection? You know, that's...
Right.
And that's... I mean, I'll leave it there.
Well, the temperature of the world.
Our political correspondent is leaving for Georgia, and we'll have her back again
Your political correspondent, actually, I have to admit this. When I first saw the alert that Trump had been shot, because, like you said, whenever it was immediately reported, there was some misleading things. First headline I saw Trump, or shots fired at a Trump rally, and I went, huh, weird. I didn't realize he got shot until about half an hour later, and then I was like, oh, wow, there was...
something.
Maybe it was whenever you sent me something, I was like, oh my God, he actually got shot. And I saw the picture with the blood and the fist bump and everything.
But I have to tell you, when he is holding his hand up and he had the wherewithal to say, fight, and keep going. I said, that picture maybe whoever's up for the Pulitzer, y'all just hold it back and submit it next year because whoever took that picture is going to win. And that may be shared more than the picture at Iwo Jima that putting the flag in but you know, with the blood on the face, and then you have to fight. And if you want a badass that can fly off the handle and say exactly what's on his mind protecting you, he's your guy.
Or Mr. Beast.
Or Mr. Beast. I'm crushing on J.D. Vance and Mr. Beast.
Okay. We'll send him all a memo.
Yeah.
Make the plea for the pod.
I have a little crush. And it's just when I saw Vance up there last night and talking about his book, and you know who encouraged him? He didn't have the confidence to write the book. And he had been just over the years, just notes here and there. And it was a lady that wrote The Tiger Mom.
Really?
She had gone to Yale Law. And he was the head of the Yale Law Review or Journal or whatever
Yeah, no, he was. And where did his wife go? Columbia or Yale?
Yale. That's where they met.
Okay.
And the Tiger Mom told them, you need to write this. People want to hear your story. And then, of course, you know, it's like his wife said last night, what can I say about my wonderful husband? Ron Howard already made a movie about your life.
Right.
You know, but I promise you, everybody was downloading that movie this week. Yep. And I thought it was a great movie. The acting was
phenomenal.
Amazing. Look, no one will wake up surprised the day after the election in November.
I don't know. There's a long time between now and then.
Trump is the Nick Saban right now of Washington or the country. He can't lose. And if you think he is, don't bet against him because, look, they've indicted him. They've arrested him. They sued him. Said he couldn't come back to New York. He could never even talk to a converted prostitute again. He couldn't save anybody. He can't even get blood. I mean, they didn't want him for nothing. And
now he's everybody's hero.
Yeah. He went from the White House to the outhouse, and he says, I think I want to be back in the White House again. And nothing's going to get in his way for, you know.
Nothing scares me more than what the country would look like the morning after if he lost.
Dude, he's not losing. Listen, I say that.
I did bet on it. I mean.
Well, I'll take your money now on the bet. And with that being said, say goodnight, Lucy.
Good night, Lucy.